Hi there, you guys. So this is my very first review on my brand new channel. I'd like to thank everybody who has continued to follow me from my last channel over to this one. It's going to take a little while for me to get the top 20 countdown back up onto the new channel, and I'm going to actually premiere my #1 favorite film of all time as soon as I get caught up with this. Hopefully it'll only take me a couple days to do that because I know that the countdown has taken me forever to just get up. So it means a lot that if for those of you who have continued to follow me through these channels and through these reviews, it really does mean a lot that you guys continue to watch. And I figured I would start off with my very first review for the new channel. So this one has actually been, there's one user in particular that has been requesting me to do a review of this film, Silver Linings Playbook. Now, I did actually see this movie. I saw it actually on Oscar night. I saw it a couple hours right before the Oscars aired this year, and I was pleasantly surprised by the movie. To be honest, when I had heard a lot of the stories that people were telling me about the movie, and when I watched the trailers of it, it generally didn't seem like a movie that I would be interested in. It's not my kind of film. It's usually not something I'm interested in. But I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. It really had quite a bit to say in its humor, in the dark drama that goes on in this movie, the way it handles a lot of its subject matter. It's amazing how this movie is done. And if I'll go into a bit more detail in it, and I'll do a spoiler warning right before I talk about spoilers. But in general, I just want to say that the movie I think is really quite amazing. It's no wonder to me that Jennifer Lawrence won the Oscar for leading female, because she was absolutely amazing in this movie. I cannot imagine a woman now who could have done the role any better than her, especially for the demographic that she's representing. She's representing, someone who's roughly in my age range, because I think she's only a year younger than me. She plays the young person who seems to have this very mature attitude very well. She's remarkably good at that. And I've always admired Jennifer Lawrence's acting. Since the first thing I saw her in, which was Winter's Bone, I've just been absolutely amazed in every single thing she's been in so far, and I cannot imagine why there would have been no other reason for her to get the Oscar. So it was a nice treat to watch this movie right before the Oscars when she got the award, and it was really amazing to watch. If you're looking for just a general recommendation from me, I have to say I really love this movie. It's really well done. The way it's shot and the way it's produced are really nicely done. The acting is absolutely perfect. It's fantastically well done, especially with the cast you have. And surprisingly, with the subject matter of mental illness that this movie is heavily influenced by, they managed to get quite a good amount of laughs out of it. There's a good part of the movie where it's despite the fact that there's a really heavy scene that will have just happened, or there's a really heavy scene coming up, they always manage to get the appropriate amount of laughs out of you when it's appropriate to laugh. This movie knows exactly when to pull its humor punches, especially considering the subject matter that the film predominantly deals with, which is predominantly mental illness and depression. So it's quite amazing how it's written, because it really does a fantastic job at balancing those two elements with the comedy and the drama and the romance elements in this film. It's quite odd, because you'll think, 2 minutes ago I was watching this incredibly rough scene to go through, and then 2 minutes later you're laughing your ass off because of a really good scene. It's quite awesome how it's done like that. It's fantastic. I guess at this point I'm going to go into spoilers. For those of you who don't care about spoilers, continue on and continue to watch. For those of you who do care about spoilers and don't want to know anything about the movie, I would suggest stopping here. You already know what my opinion on it is. I would say if this movie looks at all interesting to you, I highly recommend it. Even for people who have watched the trailers and have heard all the stories that people have been telling them about the movie, even if it doesn't sound all that interesting to you, because it didn't sound all that interesting to me when I first heard about it, go see it. It is a movie I think that people should watch, because it kind of destroyed my expectations of it. It flattened them. So that's just my general recommendations. We are going to talk about specific scenes where I feel like the movie is at its strongest and at its weakest. Particular scenes like probably the best scenes in the movie from my recollection. Be aware that I did see this movie about a month ago, so my memory isn't fantastic, but I'm going to try and do my best to remember as much of this movie as I can. Probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence's characters go to a diner for a date, and they just order weird things. I think he orders cereal and she orders tea or coffee or something, and they have a really odd and yet fantastically interesting conversation where I think he's trying to convince her to give a letter to his ex-wife, and then they end up getting onto the topic of the fact that they're both basically going through incredible mental issues at that time. Like, she's suffering from depression, he's suffering from bipolar disorder, and he doesn't see himself as suffering from anything. He sees himself as getting better and going through a process of getting better. So whenever he has a relapse, he says he claims that it's a one-time thing. I'm not crazy all the time, despite the fact that his actions obviously speak to the opposite of that statement. And the reason I like this scene so much is because of the way Jennifer Lawrence just goes off at the end of it, because he basically calls her crazy. He calls her fucking insane because he's like, oh, I'm not like you. I'm not crazy like you are. And so she acts crazy, more so crazy than she usually does, to try and rattle him up and try to get him angry and to just kind of prove him wrong and be like, she just goes fucking nuts. And it's amazing to watch an actress who is in so much control of what she's doing, that from one moment she seems really calm and really level-headed to the next, where she can act absolutely insane, and it's an act. She's doing it to rile him up and to get him angry and to do this, which it ends up working. And of course, by the end of it, she feels really bad about it because the police end up getting involved, and he has history with the police. So you really do see, I think, all the arcs of the characters in this scene really well, because especially with Lawrence's character, you see how she starts off just kind of only caring about herself, being really angry and really vindictive towards somebody who doesn't know her all that well, and basically making a very premature judgment about who she is and what she's like. And so she plays off of those assumptions, she plays off that judgment, she acts all crazy and insane, and it ends up affecting him, and she's learning that it affects him, and as a result she comforts him and she feels for him, she has sympathy for him. It's sort of the moment where it goes from they have this weird chemistry with each other, and they really have no reason to be interacting with each other, despite the fact that they do have a bit in common. And then it goes to the next part where they both just kind of lose it for a few minutes, and then they settle back down and they're like, we actually do care about each other, and we don't want to be mean to each other, and we can't do this to each other, because they only have so many people in their lives that actually support them and care about them. So if they can help each other, that's more important. And that's sort of the point in the movie where I think that took the biggest turn in each of the characters in terms of how they will in the future interact with other characters. It has been a while since I've seen the movie. I know I did have one or two gripes with it, but I honestly can't remember what they are, so they couldn't have been that severe. They were probably just nitpicks more than anything else. I remember what one of them was. There's a letter that Bradley Cooper's ex-wife had supposedly written to him, and we find out that it's actually Jennifer Lawrence who wrote it to him to try and fool him, to make him think that his ex-wife actually wanted to get back together with him, or to convince him, to drop it, whatever. I forget exactly what it was, but there's only one hint that's given in the movie that says that Jennifer Lawrence wrote the letter. And even then, it's not super convincing that she wrote it, because Bradley Cooper read the letter aloud, and so she easily knew what was in the letter because he read it out loud to her. It was just the two of them in the room. And yet everyone kind of seemed to figure that, oh, she wrote the letter because she said this thing that was also in the letter, and, only she would have done that. But it's like, no, I mean, she heard him read the letter. I think it was some sort of statement about his character, and she was using it to kind of slap him in the face, and that was sort of the moment he realizes that it was her that wrote the letter. I've kind of had an issue with that scene, but it's not big enough for me to like, you know, dislike the movie. It's just one gripe that I have. It certainly doesn't ruin the movie for me. That's kind of it. That's all I really wanted to talk about. I guess that's sort of how my format, I guess, is going to work when I do these reviews now. Is I will give a general recommendation at the very beginning of the review, and then I go into specific scenes that I like or don't like about the movie. I'd like to thank you guys again so much for continuing to follow me onto this channel and to give me suggestions for future reviews. I need your guys' ideas to know which movies you would like me to review. Please leave a comment below if you guys would like me to review something specific or to talk about something specific within movie news. Otherwise, I'd like to thank you guys so much, and I will see you later. Peace.